you name it. So they're the ones who are making sure that this doesn't happen and that our message is not getting out to achieve critical mass. Now, they're going to be defeated. They can't win. History is against them. The tide is definitely against them. And our job is, we have to find a way to beat that. Now, one way will be that we're close enough to developing, probably, different types of free energy alternatives. When they get out, that there's at least a chance that that would break a stranglehold over over what these elites have over our energy situation. And it really might be the chance to have a modern equivalent of the French Revolution, or even better. So I think that's a possibility. And the other thing that will happen is that, if the first scenario doesn't happen, is that there will be an event. You see, things are just moving so fast. And I don't know what that trigger will be, but there will be a trigger. And when disclosure happens, it's going to be like a big firestorm. There will be political upheaval. We'll redefine our party system. And all of this stuff won't go away, but it's all going to be redefined. So I think we'll all live through it. We're going to see it, I think, within a decade. If it's our meditative ability that does it, great. I don't discount that. But I'm trying to look at more of the on-the-ground types of motivators and drivers of this change. I think the one thing that I would end this with is that I don't think it's going to be all that fun, and I think it's going to be a lot of work for us, because as Miriam pointed out, if it comes from the government, you can be sure about one thing, which is that it won't be a truthful disclosure. It's going to be filled with spin.
Hear, hear.
Right. And so it's going to be our obligation to investigate and make sure that their spin isn't going to be the final word. We're going to have to do that. There's going to be a lot of work once this happens.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Rich Dolan. Yeah. Rebecca Jernigan.
Well, I have to agree with those that have been up here talking about we do not want the government to disclose anything to us. We know what that's about. We know that that's not truth. They do that for their own hidden agendas. But disclosure is happening. It's happening, as everyone has said here in this room. It happens with the radio shows that are out there. It happens and it bleeds through in our news, whether it be on TV, whether it be in the written word, through newspapers, whether it be even through Hollywood and their movies. Disclosure is here. And I find it very interesting that we've been given clues and we've been given this information all along. I believe it's the things that these things have been in place to trigger us, if you will, those to become awake, to become aware, hence Awake and Aware in LA. And these trigger mechanisms are those when one person goes, wow, I think there's some truth in that, and they begin talking to somebody else, and somebody else says, well, hey, did you see this? Pretty soon, we've got a little chain reaction going. Rich, I think you were the one that said, not sure whether or not we could bring it to critical mass. That in itself, I don't know. Sure that I absolutely agree with that. Because I think it's a perspective of what critical mass can be. If all of us out here are in the understanding of what disclosure is and becoming more aware and becoming more awake, then that in itself is some kind of a critical mass that wasn't there maybe 5 years ago, maybe 5 minutes ago. Every one of us here has a responsibility to self, and that responsibility to self says, the government talks, then you gotta know that it's not truth, right? Right? Because what is their agenda? Look at what's happened in the United States. Where's our Constitution? Where's our rights? Where's any of that stuff? And I think that what happens here is that the people are at the point, it's almost tangible, it's almost where you can feel it, that the people are at the point where they're going to stop and say, you know what, I think we've heard enough from you. I think we've heard enough. And when we get sick and tired of being sick and tired and playing the victim, I think is when we're all going to stand up and go, okay, we need to create something different. And we do that through all the work that we do as individuals as well as collectively. Collectively, we're out there, as David talked about, that experiment. I was aware of that, and that was a very cool thing. That was absolutely awesome. There's been other experiments I have paid attention to as long as like 15 years ago. There was this extremely polluted lake, and they took like a few hundred people around this polluted lake and they set them out here, and they sent this information to the lake to clean it up. So these group of people sat out here for 24 hours at this lake. I mean, this water was the nastiest thing you ever seen. Scientists went back 24 hours later, took another water sample, and it was pure. As a matter of fact, it had crystalline structure in it. It's pretty awesome. So you have to know that we have this ability. We have the ability to change what has been. So if we don't like where we have been, all we can do is make the choice to make it different. Yes? So the question is, are you going to be a part of your own change? How does the future look to you? I know what I want my future to be, and there will be growing pains with this. No doubt about it. Because you can't get rid of the old and bring in the new without having something there as a break-off point. Whenever you change anything, you have to make one transition from one point to the other. And that transition can sometimes not be very pleasant. So I think disclosure is within all of this. I think it can reach more and more of a crescendo, whether it reaches a critical mass to the maximum or goes viral, I guess is the new thing. We got to make it go viral, right? Is up to us and everyone else that we can talk to. And understand there are going to be people that are still going to drink the Kool-Aid. They're not going to want to do this. And it's okay. Not everyone is going to want this. But our world that we create for ourselves is from what we create. So that's what I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. So, Duncan O'Finian. Duncan O'Finian is a super soldier. Go ahead. You want to introduce him? Just say a few words about Duncan.
Been reading my mind again, haven't you?
Oh, well.
This isn't really a subject I'm really adept at conversing in, but I really have to echo the sentiments of everyone up here that any disclosure that takes place needs to be done without government involvement in any shape or fashion. Do I think disclosure is close? I say it better be, because we're in a world of hurt, and this party ain't going to have the music we want. And if you want to survive the future, the first thing you need to do is get rid of your fear. Keep your thoughts positive, and just turn some music on. That's it.
Jordan.
I don't know what I can add to this, because I have so many thoughts about what's really going on and who's really running this planet. But it doesn't matter how you view the Bible, but it's a very interesting